Hey guys, tonight we're peeling back the powdered face of history, literally. You're standing in a candlelit dressing room in 16th century Venice. The mirror's warped, but it flatters you. That pale, glowing complexion. Everyone wants it. You dip 2 fingers into a delicate glass pot, swirling up a thick cream the colour of ivory. It's cool, smooth, and spreads like silk. You paint it over your cheeks, your nose, your forehead. A little dab makes you radiant. A little more makes you unforgettable. You won't believe this. You've just smeared lead paste all over your face. All right, before you get too cozy, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe, but only if your heart says yes. And hey, drop your city and local time in the comments. We're all drifting off together. Dim the lights, get that fan going for some background vibes, and let's chill into tonight's little adventure. The cream is called Cerusa. It's made of vinegar and powdered white lead. At first it's a miracle, covers blotches, smooths freckles, makes your face look like moonlight on marble. In the dim glow of candlelight, your skin looks flawless, but there's a price. The more you use it, the more your skin peels. It cracks, it weeps. So what do? You put on another layer, then another. You're building a face on top of a face. The women in your circle do it too. The richer you are, the whiter your skin should be. Pale means power. It means you don't toil in fields or walk in sunlit streets. Pale says you're above all that. But behind every alabaster cheek is a red, blistered truth. Lead seeps into your skin. It gets in your blood. It swells your gums, loosens your teeth. You're tired all the time, and sometimes your fingers twitch when you hold your fan. Still, you keep applying. You've heard whispers about Countess Cecilia da Cremona. They say she looked like a painting come alive, a real-life angel. But then she vanished for a few months, sick, apparently. When she returned, her face was raw and grey beneath the makeup. Her eyes seemed hollow. Some swear they saw black streaks at her hairline, signs of lead poisoning. One maid claimed the Countess coughed blood into a handkerchief, but no one ever saw that handkerchief again. And yet, her skin still shone at the spring masquerade. She wore a feathered mask, but people said you could still see that ghostly glow underneath. Some thought it was ethereal, others haunting. The thing is, you're starting to feel it too. The stiffness when you smile. The way your cheeks don't feel like yours. The cream is drying faster now, flaking in places. You try smoothing it over, but it cakes up like plaster. You press more onto your forehead, hide the cracks with powder. Still, it keeps eating your skin. There's a bitter tang at the back of your mouth these days. You ignore it. Every jar of Cerusa you open smells faintly metallic, like old coins and vinegar. Your maid says she gets dizzy when she stirs it for you. But she's just being dramatic. You've never felt more beautiful, except when you take it off, and your face looks like a map of tiny wounds. So you never go without it, not even at night. Sometimes, not even alone. Because what if someone sees? What if you see? Your hairline is starting to thin. You think it's the summer heat. Your lashes fall out more than they used to. Maybe it's just the new coal. But inside, something whispers the truth. And still, you reach for the little ivory pot, because you've come this far. You wake up in the morning and your pillowcase is stained white. The lead cream has rubbed off in your sleep, smudging the linen like ash. You pull the curtain tighter to keep the light out. Even daylight feels too harsh now. You don't want to see the real colour of your skin anymore, just the version that exists beneath powder and illusion. Your maid brings warm rosewater in a silver basin. You lean in and catch your reflection in the surface, a face half covered in cracks, pink sores at your temples where the cream no longer clings. You pretend not to notice. With careful fingers, you wipe away what's left of yesterday and begin again. It's become a ritual, soothing in its poison. You remember how your mother used to do the same, though hers was thicker, almost chalky. She once told you to never let a man see your bare skin unless you wanted to lose his favour. Keep your mysteries, she said, dabbing lead paste onto her jawline, and never let them see you sweat. But your mother died young. Nobody said it outright, of course. A fever, they called it. Her constitution was too delicate. But you remember her shaking hands, the headaches that came like clockwork, the smell of vinegar on her sheets, the blood in her handkerchief. Now you know better. The doctors have their suspicions, but they don't speak too loudly. Some still recommend Sarusa as a skin purifier. Others say the headaches are just from the corset, or the stress, or the damp air. You hear rumours that Queen Elizabeth I of England uses a similar mixture, hers even more refined. White lead, mixed with egg whites and plant oils. They call it the Mask of Youth. Her subjects believe she's ageless, glorious, but the truth travels slower than fashion. Beneath that regal glow, she too hides scars. It's not just your face that's changing. Your mood has grown. Restless. You forget words. You snap at the maid for bringing the wrong powder puff. You dream of falling, always falling, into a basin of milk that burns like fire. And yet, when guests arrive, you're perfect. You glide through the salon with ivory cheeks and darkened lashes. You smile through numb lips and raise your glass. No one suspects. They only see the glow. One evening, a new girl arrives at the gathering, a merchant's daughter. Her cheeks are pink from the sun, her skin untouched by powder. People glance, whisper. She looks vibrant, warm, real. You feel suddenly cold. In the candlelight you touch your face and realise you can't feel your own skin, just the crust of the mask. Later that night, after the guests have gone and the perfume fades from the air, you sit alone at the vanity. You stare at your reflection for a long time. Then you open the drawer and take out the little ivory pot. Your hand hovers. You could stop. But instead, you open it, dip your finger in, and begin again. Because in this world, beauty isn't just power, it's survival, and you've already chosen your mask. You're standing in front of the mirror again, but this time it's not your skin you're worried about. It's your eyes. They seem small today, tired. Not the wide, doe-eyed look that's in fashion. Your reflection doesn't flirt. It doesn't beg or shimmer. It just stares back, dull and unblinking. You reach for the tiny blue vial in the velvet pouch. It's shaped like a teardrop, corked with wax and sealed in secrecy. You pluck it open with a fingernail and tilt your head back. One drop in each eye. It burns. Oh, it burns. The sting is sharp and sour like smoke trapped under your eyelids. You blink furiously, grabbing the edge of the dressing table. Then you breathe through it. 1, 2, 3 seconds pass. Your eyes settle, the pain fading into a faint warmth. And then the magic begins. Your pupils dilate. They swell wide and black like pools of ink. Your irises blur at the edges, swallowed by the shadow. Suddenly your gaze looks deeper, hungrier, like something out of a painting. Every blink is slower, every glance more captivating. You look back in the mirror and there she is again. That woman people can't stop watching. Belladonna, they call it. Beautiful woman. The extract of deadly nightshade. You're told it's harmless in tiny amounts, that it's been used for centuries, that women in Renaissance courts swore by it. You like how it makes you feel. Mysterious, dramatic, like you've stepped out of a Botticelli canvas. But the truth is far less romantic. You've noticed the headaches lately, the way sunlight makes your vision flutter. Sometimes letters on the page swim when you try to read. You once missed a step and nearly tumbled down the villa stairs. Your vision had gone soft at the edges, the world melting like wax. Still, the effect is worth it. At tonight's gathering, you want to be the one they can't stop watching. You'll sit just out of reach, your gaze half lowered, and someone will ask, "Who is she?" Your rival Lucia once whispered that only desperate women use belladonna. Fake charm, she called it. But Lucia has started using it too. You saw her flinch when she blinked last week, and the next night her eyes gleamed unnaturally wide. The two of you haven't spoken about it. No one ever does. But when you pass her in the garden, and your dark eyes lock for just a second too long, you both understand. This is war, fought not with swords, but stares. You keep the bottle close, hidden in your corset pouch. You've learned to control the dosage. 1 drop per eye, no more, any more, and you start seeing things. You remember once when you dared 2 drops. The candlelight seemed to split. Shadows twisted in the corners. You swore the drapes moved on their own. That night you couldn't sleep. Your heart raced. Your breath wouldn't slow. You lay in bed, wide-eyed and terrified, of nothing and everything. But your eyes? They looked stunning. Tomorrow you'll do it again. The trouble begins when you can no longer read the faces in the room. You sit at the salon table surrounded by chatter and music, but everything is a little too bright, a little too slow. You squint, trying to catch the meaning behind someone's glance, but their expression melts into light and blur. You can't tell if that man is smiling at you or at someone behind you. Your pupils are so wide now they almost eclipse your irises entirely. When the candles flicker, your vision flashes white for a moment. Someone offers you a glass of wine, and you nearly knock it over, misjudging the distance. You laugh it off. You always laugh it off, because the alternative would be to admit you're not in control anymore. There was a time, not long ago, when you could skip the drops for a day or two, let your eyes rest. But now, when you try, your eyelids twitch. You feel jittery. The world seems dull, your gaze hollow, and worse. People notice. They glance past you. They don't linger. You've become ordinary. So you keep reaching for the vial. You've met others who use it too. A countess with trembling fingers, a widow whose smile never reaches her eyes. One woman confessed to seeing double for a week after a ball. "Only a little mishap," she said, tapping her temple with a gloved hand. "But I looked exquisite, didn't I?" You nodded. Of course she did. But deep down you wonder, how many of them have ruined their vision completely? Belladonna doesn't just dilate your eyes. It interferes with the muscles that focus. Over time, some women lose their ability to see close up. Others develop tremors, and the most unfortunate, their heart rhythms falter, their skin grows flushed. Hallucinations come like dreams they can't wake from. You remember the case of Lady Bianca. It was whispered she mistook a servant for her dead husband in the hallway, spoke to him for 10 minutes before realizing her mistake. A week later, she was gone. "Move to the countryside," they said, but everyone knows what that really means, and still you drop. It's no longer about beauty now. It's about habit, ritual, a sense of control in a world that judges you for blinking too fast or aging a day too soon. You wonder if men feel this way, if they ever poison themselves just to hold a stranger's gaze across a ballroom. But you don't dwell on it. Tonight you're meeting someone new. Word is he admires women with depth in their eyes that speak without words. So once again, you sit before your mirror, open the vial, and tilt your head back. The drop falls, burns, spreads, the darkness swells, and you smile. Not because you feel safe, but because you look like someone who does. You sit at the breakfast table, a porcelain dish in front of you. The silver fork gleams beside it, and your maid stands silently by, waiting. You nod once. She removes the lid with a flourish, and there they are. 3 delicate white wafers, thin as communion bread and dusted with sugar. They smell faintly sweet, almost innocent. You pick one up and let it rest on your tongue. It dissolves in seconds. A whisper of chalk, a trace of spice and something else. Something bitter that curls behind your teeth. You sip water, pretending not to notice. Your stomach tightens, but you keep eating. Because this is what elegance tastes like now. These are arsenic wafers, though no one calls them that aloud. Officially, they're complexion tablets, sold in perfume boxes with ribbons and imported labels. They're said to clarify the skin, brighten the eyes, restore youth. You first heard of them from a Parisian noble. Her face impossibly smooth, her cheeks pale like cream. She smiled as she handed you the box, whispering, "They work, but only if you're very, very consistent." And consistent you have been. At first, you only took one every few days, then one a day, then 3. Now your appetite has nearly vanished, but your reflection looks divine. Not a blemish in sight, pale as moonlight. People compliment your glow, your ethereal stillness. They say you look like a statue carved from marble. What they don't know is that you can barely keep food down anymore. The arsenic strips more than pigment. It weakens your digestion, frays your nerves, dries your mouth. Sometimes your lips tremble without warning. Sometimes your hands go numb at the fingertips, and you clutch your gown to keep from dropping your glass. Still, you take them. Because the alternative is going back to what you were, freckled, uneven, alive. Your maid, Rosa, knows. She doesn't speak of it, but she sees the small changes, the new shadows under your eyes, the occasional nosebleed you claim is just the dry air. She once hesitated while placing the dish on your table. Her fingers lingered too long on the lid. You met her gaze and said nothing. She didn't bring it up again. At dinner parties you watched the others. Some glow like you. Cheeks pale, expressions fixed in that same brittle poise. You wonder who else has the wafers hidden in their lacquered jewellery box. Who else wakes up with nausea and dry heaves, only to sit down and eat the poison again by noon. There are stories, of course. One noble woman collapsed mid-dance, blood leaking from her gums. A heart condition, they said. But the servants whispered of wafer wrappers found in her writing desk. Another girl, barely 20, died of nervous fatigue. Her skin was flawless, her coffin sealed. You know all this. But still, each morning you unwrap a fresh box, and each night as you lean toward the mirror you marvel at your face, its stillness, its shine. You ignore the aching in your joints. You press your palms into your temples when the headaches rise. You smile through the fog. Because beauty is discipline, and you've never been more disciplined. The problem with arsenic is not that it kills quickly. The problem is that it doesn't. It settles in, quietly, patiently. You begin to notice that your body feels thinner, but not lighter, as if something essential is being hollowed out while the shell remains pristine. You walk through the house and forget why you entered a room. You pause mid-sentence, words slipping away like mist. Your heartbeat sometimes stutters, just a beat out of rhythm, long enough to make you stop breathing for a second. Then it passes. Everything always passes. That's how you justify it. At the apothecary, the man behind the counter smiles knowingly when you ask for more wafers. He wraps them carefully, the paper printed with elegant script and floral borders. He tells you softly that doctors recommend small doses, that arsenic in moderation stimulates the complexion. He mentions that it's even prescribed medicinally, tonics, drops, powders, trusted by respectable physicians. You nod. You've heard this before. It's comforting to know your poison comes with professional approval. You don't ask how many women have stopped coming back. There's a strange camaraderie among those who partake. At salons, you exchange glances with other pale-faced women. No words are needed. When one excuses herself early, pressing a hand to her stomach, you understand. When another's hair thins dramatically over the course of a season, you don't comment. Silence is part of the arrangement. You've also heard the stranger stories, the ones told in hushed, almost admiring tones. In the Alpine regions far to the east, there are peasants who eat arsenic deliberately, building up tolerance over years. They say it makes them strong, rosy-cheeked, resilient. Some claim these arsenic eaters can consume doses that would kill an untrained body outright. The story circulates like folklore, half warning, half temptation. If they can survive it, surely you can manage a few wafers. But you're not building strength, you're building dependence. One morning Rosa doesn't bring the dish. She hesitates in the doorway, eyes downcast. "You didn't sleep," she says instead. You can hear the accusation she doesn't dare voice. You feel a flash of anger, sharp, irrational. You snap at her to fetch it. Her shoulders stiffen as she leaves. When she returns, the wafers tremble slightly on the plate. Maybe it's her hand shaking. Maybe it's yours. You eat them anyway. Later that week, you catch your reflection in a window and don't recognize yourself. Your skin is perfect. Yes. But your eyes look distant. Not mysterious like they did with the belladonna drops. Just tired. Old somehow. There's a faint grey cast at your temples, a shadow no powder fully hides. You add more. Rouge! More powder! More discipline! The thing no one tells you is that arsenic makes quitting dangerous. Stop suddenly, and your body revolts. Nausea, weakness, heart palpitations. So you tell yourself you're not trapped. You're just being careful, gradual, responsible. At night, lying in bed, you think of the wafers dissolving inside you day after day, polishing your exterior while roughening everything underneath. You wonder how many layers you've lost already, how much of you remains untouched. But in the morning, when the mirror shows you that pale porcelain calm, the question fades. You reach for the dish. The first thing you notice is the glow. Not a bright glow, not a lantern or a flame. It's softer than that. A gentle shimmer, like moonlight trapped in powder. You tilt the compact under the lamp and smile as it glints back at you, almost alive. This is the future, they say. Science, bottled and beautified. You tap the puff into the radium face powder and dust it lightly across your cheeks, your collarbones, the bridge of your nose, just enough to catch the light when you turn your head. In the mirror, your skin looks luminous, not pale like lead, not artificial like arsenic. This is modern beauty, clean, energetic, healthy. They promise it restores vitality. You believe them, because everyone does. The advertisements are everywhere now. Department stores, ladies' magazines, elegant display cases trimmed in chrome and glass. Radium creams, radium powders, radium soaps. Some even suggest sleeping with a faintly glowing face is good for circulation. You've seen the demonstrations. The saleswoman dims the lights, opens the jar, and the room gasps. You did too. It feels thrilling to be part of something new. After all the old poisons, remember the chalky lead paste, the bitter wafers dissolving on your tongue. This feels different, progressive, almost medical. Radium is used in hospitals after all. You heard it can shrink tumours. If doctors trust it, why shouldn't you? That's what you tell yourself as you pat more onto your throat. At first, nothing happens. Weeks go by. Compliments multiply. People say you look awake, energised. There's a brightness to you that wasn't there before. Even without belladonna, your eyes seem lively. You catch your reflection at night and watch your face glow faintly in the dark. It's enchanting. You laugh, calling it a party trick. You don't notice the fatigue creeping in. Or maybe you do, but you blame the season. Everyone's tired lately. You start sleeping longer, yet wake up unrested. Your skin tingles sometimes, a strange warmth beneath the surface. You assume that means it's working. There's a woman you know, Margaret, who swears by the radium night cream. She uses it religiously, slathers it on before bed, thick as frosting. She jokes that she doesn't need candles anymore, but lately she's been complaining of sore teeth. One loosened unexpectedly last week. She laughed it off, said it must be age. She's only 32. You powder your face again before a dinner party. The glow catches every flicker of light. You feel radiant, invincible. This is beauty without sacrifice, you think. No fainting spells, no stomach cramps. Just science doing its quiet work. But later that night, as you wash your face, you notice redness along your jawline that doesn't fade. The skin feels tender, almost bruised. You dab more cream on to soothe it. The jar hums faintly in the dark, barely audible, like a whisper. You don't yet know that radium doesn't sit politely on the surface. It burrows, it mimics calcium, it settles where bones live. You don't know that once it's in you, it doesn't leave, not in your lifetime. All you know is that your face is glowing and everyone is watching. The first time you notice something is truly wrong, it's your fingernails. One splits clean down the middle while you're reaching for your brush. Just a hairline crack, but then another and another. They start flaking like old paint. You tell yourself it's dryness, maybe the cold weather, maybe nerves. You file them down, paint over the damage, but the beds beneath your nails ache, throb even. The pain is deep and doesn't leave. Then comes the toothache. It starts as a dull tug behind your molars, then sharpens. You can't tell which tooth hurts because it's all of them. Your gums swell, turning purple at the edges. You try not to wince when you speak. You smile less. You powder more. Margaret has stopped attending social functions. They say she's not feeling well. You send a note. No reply. One morning, you overhear a whispered conversation between two women outside the milliner's. They had to remove her jaw, one murmurs. She'd been glowing inside. Inside. That word echoes through you like a chill. Still, you don't stop. The powder is in your pores now, your pillowcases, your gloves. It clings to your life like frost. You consider switching brands, maybe something milder. But they all advertise the same thing. Radiance. Renewal. Radiant renewal. It's almost a prayer. You remember when the Radium Girl story broke across the Atlantic. Young women painting watch dials with luminous paint, tipping brushes between their lips to keep the strokes fine. Some died quickly, some lingered, their bones softening, their jaws crumbling. At the time, it felt distant, a factory problem, a working-class tragedy. But now you dream about your own teeth falling out one by one, clinking like pearls into a silver basin. You wake with a hand to your mouth, checking, always checking. You're afraid to yawn too wide. Still, the glow. It's what they remember when you walk into a room. It's why they turn to look. The faint shimmer at your throat, the way your cheek catches the light like crystal. Even when you stop using the powder for a day or two, the shine doesn't leave. It's in you now. One evening, alone, you hold the jar close to your face in the dark. You watch the glow throb faintly like a heartbeat. It looks almost alive. You realize then that the thing making you beautiful is slowly eating you alive from within. But vanity has its own gravity. You try to resist. You move the jar to the bottom drawer. You tell Rosa not to bring it anymore, and for a few days your skin dulls. Your cheeks lose their shimmer. The mirror no longer flatters. People don't ask if you're glowing. They ask if you're tired. The silence that follows is worse than the poison. So you open the drawer again, and this time you don't dust it on gently. You press it in. You coat your whole face, your neck, your chest. You want to gleam like a goddess no matter the cost. Because that's the thing about radium. It never leaves, and neither does the desire to shine. Your hair used to tell the truth about you. It caught the sun and showed your age, your seasons, the years you'd spent under open skies or candle smoke. Now, standing before the mirror, you decide it's time to correct that truth. Just a little. A darker tone. A richer shine. Something that says vitality instead of time. The bottle on your vanity smells sharp the moment you unstopper it. Acrid. Metallic. Not unpleasant. Just strong. You're told that means it's effective. The label boasts of progress, of chemistry conquering nature. No more muddy henna. No more crushed walnuts or boiled herbs. This is modern hair dye. You brush it onto your scalp section by careful section. The liquid is cool at first, then oddly warm. You massage it in with your fingertips, ignoring the faint prickling sensation. That's normal, you've been told. Proof it's penetrating, proof it's working. You wait. As minutes pass, the warmth grows sharper. A sting creeps along your hairline behind your ears. You wrinkle your nose and tell yourself it's nothing. Beauty always asks for patience. You remember the tight corsets, the burning belladonna drops, the arsenic wafers dissolving sweetly on your tongue. Compared to those, this is trivial. When you rinse it out, the water runs dark, almost inky. Your hair looks magnificent, deep, glossy, transformed. People notice immediately. They ask where you had it done. They touch your curls a second too long. But that night your scalp throbs. You scratch absent-mindedly as you lie in bed, fingers brushing over tender spots. By morning, the skin at your temples feels tight, swollen. You dab powder along the hairline to hide the redness. No one needs to know. These dyes are made with metal salts, lead acetate, silver nitrate, copper compounds, mixed with coal tar derivatives. You don't know the names, only the results. The colour builds slowly, darkening with each application. That's what makes it so tempting. You don't feel like you're changing overnight. You're just maintaining. The itching doesn't stop. It gets worse. A week later, you notice flakes on your collar. You brush them away quickly. Dandruff, you tell yourself. Stress. Weather. When you wash your hair, clumps come away in your hands. Not enough to panic. Not yet. At the salon, you overhear a woman complaining of sores that won't heal along her scalp. The hairdresser lowers her voice, tells her to try a different brand, something gentler, something new. New. That word again. You apply the dye once more before an important evening. You leave it on longer this time. The sting is sharper now, almost burning. Your eyes water. You grit your teeth and endure. When you rinse, the skin beneath your hair feels raw, as if scraped. But the colour, oh, the colour, is perfect. Later, as Rosa brushes your hair, she hesitates. "There's a spot here," she says quietly. You tell her she's imagining things. She doesn't argue, she never does. You don't see the small blister forming near your crown, or the way the skin there has turned pale, waxy. You only see the reflection everyone envies. Hair like ink, youth restored, and a scalp slowly learning what poison feels like. A few days later, your hairbrush begins to betray you. Each morning it holds more than strands. Whole tufts now, curled like question marks, clinging to the bristles. You clean it carefully, gently, so no one sees. The mirror still shows you the same striking colour, but now the part in your hair looks a little wider. Your temples show through sooner. You dab a bit of powder to cover the thinning. Just a trick of the light, you tell yourself. A seasonal shed. It will pass, but it doesn't. Your scalp is angry, inflamed. You feel it pulsing when you lie down at night. It weeps a little at the nape of your neck, clear liquid, warm and sticky. Rosa notices. She brings a cold cloth without a word. When she dabs your skin, she doesn't meet your eyes. You both know, but neither of you dare speak it. The dye has made you radiant, and it's quietly killing the roots beneath. You remember the advertisement that first convinced you. A French lady in an illustrated paper, hair cascading like silk over her shoulders. Confidence in every strand, it promised. Science you can trust. But what they don't show is the hidden ingredients. Coal tar loaded with PPD, paraphenylend-arsamine, a substance known even then to inflame skin, blister scalps, and trigger reactions that sometimes close throats. One girl you knew, Emmeline, had to be carried from a party, her face swelling so fast her eyes shut before help arrived. She'd used a newer blend, something safer. It took her weeks to recover, and even then her hair never came back the same. Last time you saw her, she wore a velvet bonnet, even indoors. You apply less now. Dilute the formula. But your scalp has already grown sensitive, like scorched earth that no longer welcomes roots. You try rosemary oil, rosewater rinses, even old herbal poultices. Nothing soothes it. Every touch feels like an insult. And still, the grey returns faster with each passing week. You try to make peace with it, but your reflection won't let you. One evening, you hesitate before opening the bottle. You weigh it in your hand. The smell alone now makes your eyes sting. You leave it on the table and walk away. But the next day, you look in the mirror and see someone older looking back, and you return. This time, your hand trembles as you mix the solution. You hold your breath while applying it, the sting now sharp enough to bring tears. You set the timer, not daring to leave it a moment longer than needed. But even rinsing burns now. Your skin is red, patchy, sore. The hair feels limp, lifeless. You know this will be the last time, or at least that it should be, because there's a line beauty was never meant to cross, and you've stepped over it. Scalp first, but still, you'll wrap a ribbon around your hair tonight. You'll wear it high and full, powdered slightly at the roots to hide what's missing. And when someone compliments the colour, you'll smile. Because sometimes silence is the final cosmetic. The little pot on your dressing table looks unassuming. It's black, with a narrow lid and no label. You unscrew it slowly, and the scent hits you first. Earthy, metallic, with a sharp, unfamiliar undertone. The texture is thick, nearly sticky, and shines faintly when the morning light catches it. This is your eyeliner, your kohl, passed down from older generations, traded across cultures, once made from ground galena, lead sulfide, and prized for its bold, smoky finish. It lengthens the lash line, frames the eyes, and carries a sense of mystery with every blink. You dip the stick in and draw the first line along your lower lid. It glides smoothly, as it always has. You smudge the edge with your fingertip. The effect is immediate. Your eyes look darker, deeper, more awake. A signature look, so familiar it feels like part of your face now. You never questioned what it was made of. Not until the swelling started. It began subtly. Tenderness in the corners of your eyes, a bit of redness you blamed on dust or weather. You washed your face more carefully, switched linens, but the redness returned, angrier. The skin beneath your eyes turned dry, cracked. Then came the twitch, a constant flutter at the edge of your right eye. Sometimes the lid refused to open fully in the morning. Still, you applied the kohl, because without it, you didn't look like you. You looked unfinished. The irony is that in some cultures, kohl was once believed to protect the eyes from the sun, from spirits, from disease. In ancient Egypt, it was considered sacred, applied not just for beauty but for health. But the modern version, no priest blessed it, no physician approved it. It's a blend of heavy metals, carbon, even mercury compounds if you're unlucky. And once it enters the bloodstream through the soft tissue around your eyes, it doesn't leave quietly. You tell yourself yours must be the safe kind. You bought it from a reputable place. It came wrapped in silk. The seller used the word natural more than once. But what does natural mean to a world that still sells radium creams and arsenic wafers wrapped in roses? One evening, as you prepare for a gathering, the twitch in your eye turns to a stab. You drop the applicator. The pain blooms behind your socket, sudden and sharp. You lean on the table, breathing through your teeth, tears involuntarily filling your vision. And still, as soon as the pain fades, your hand reaches back toward the pot, because you've built an entire image on the look that liner gives you. Bold, defined, eternal. Without it, your features blur. You feel erased. You remember a friend who stopped wearing it last year. Her eyes puffed up so badly she couldn't open them for days. Her physician quietly advised her to dispose of her cosmetics, all of them. She disappeared for a while after that. When she returned, barefaced and squinting in the sunlight, people whispered. Some said she looked plainer, others said she looked younger. You couldn't decide which frightened you more, and so, even now, with a swollen lid and a line of pain threading through your temple, you lean in close to the mirror, take up the stick, and draw the line. Just one more time. You tell yourself you'll stop. Tomorrow. Just not today. Not before the dinner, not before the portrait sitting, not before the arrival of someone important. The problem with just one more time is that it stretches. It becomes the rhythm of your days. Your right eye waters constantly now. Not enough to ruin your makeup, but enough to notice. When you blink, it's like dragging a thread across sand. You dab gently with a handkerchief embroidered with your initials, the corner already stiff with use. You carry it always now. The physician you reluctantly consulted suggested a rest. No cosmetics for a fortnight. He didn't say why, only muttered about inflammation, optic stress, and foreign agents in soft tissue. You nodded politely, then reached for your pot of coal the moment his carriage pulled away. Because how can you walk into a room with bare eyes? At night, your vision blurs at the edges. Candles glow like stars behind fog. You lie awake, eyes shut but restless. You feel the pressure building behind your brow, something deep and pulsing, like your own body has grown weary of pretending. You try a newer formula, something sold in a glass vial with a golden cap. It promises less irritation and European refinement. It stings less, yes, but the ache never fully leaves. It's only muted. Rosa offers to apply it for you now. You sit still while she works. You've taught her the exact angle, the width of the line, the little upward flick at the corners. She's gentle, but sometimes, when her finger brushes beneath your eye, you flinch. Not from pain, from shame. You know she's seen the yellowing along your lash line, the tiny scabs where skin tried to fight back. She doesn't speak of them, but her silence weighs heavier than words. One afternoon, while walking through the garden, your vision flashes white, just for a second. You stop mid-step, catching your balance against the stone balustrade. The sunlight feels unbearable, even filtered through the trees. You shield your face, heart pounding, eyes closed. When you open them again, everything's too bright, too sharp. You return inside, curtains drawn, mirrors covered. You sit in the dark, breathing shallowly. You wonder, is this the price? Not for vanity, but for certainty, for the feeling of being seen the way you want to be seen. You've long since stopped wearing makeup for others. You wear it for the version of yourself that only exists in reflections. Still, later that evening, you uncork the vial again. The cool scent rises to meet you. Your hand shakes slightly as you guide the brush across your lash line. You blink through the sting, wait for the familiar transformation, and when it comes, you feel it. Again, the mask sliding into place, the gaze returning, the illusion restored. You'll pay the price. You already are. But tonight they will meet your eyes and see no weakness, only depth, shadow, power, even if your own sight grows dim. Steam curls around your ankles as you step into the chamber. The air is thick with the scent of minerals and something acrid that pinches the back of your nose. Stone walls sweat with condensation. Brass pipes hiss faintly along the edges of the floor. And in the centre of the room, rising from an iron grate, is the slow exhale of sulphurous steam. This is not a spa, though it pretends to be. It's a prescription, a beauty ritual sanctioned by modern science, or so they say. You're here because your skin has grown dull, uneven. You've been told sulphur will purge your blemishes, clear your blood, lift the toxins from within. You sit on the wooden bench and let the heat surround you. Your body begins to prickle almost instantly. Beads of sweat form at your temples, between your shoulder blades, behind your knees. The sulphur stings your nostrils. Your breath shortens, not quite choking, but close. You focus on the promise. Flushed cheeks, tightened pores, a glow from the inside out. A maid steps in and fastens the heavy canvas sheet around your shoulders. It traps the steam around your body, keeping it from escaping upward. Your feet remain bare on the warm, damp floor. It feels like sitting inside a boiling teapot. The physician who recommended this called it dry purification. The heat opens the skin, he explained. The sulphur cleans the blood. You didn't ask how skin and blood are connected. You didn't want to know. You last 10 minutes the first time. By the 5th visit, you can sit through 20. On the 6th, you start coughing, a low, persistent rasp that flares in your chest after every session. The attendant brings you a cloth dipped in rose water, but it does nothing to cool the heat in your lungs. Still, your face looks clearer. People mention it at dinner parties. Your cousin asks if you've taken a trip to the coast. You smile, your voice hoarse. Just steam. The fashion has spread. More and more women whisper about sulphur. Some drink it in diluted teas. Others mix it into masks and soaps. But the baths, these slow, suffocating rituals in tiled rooms and canvas tents, are for the truly devoted. For those willing to sweat the poison out. You begin to notice a peculiar taste in your mouth. Metallic, faintly rotten. It lingers no matter what you eat. Your tongue feels heavy. Some days, your breath smells like old eggs. Rosa starts bringing mint leaves to chew after each visit. She says nothing, but the look in her eyes sharpens each time she unwraps the sulphur cloth. One afternoon, you see another woman leaving the chamber ahead of you. She stumbles slightly as she passes, face flushed red, eyes glassy. Her hand clutches at the wall for balance. You want to reach for her, but you also don't want to know what it feels like to fall from this pursuit. You both nod, like comrades in a war no one else admits exists. That evening, you sit at your mirror and run a fingertip across your cheek. It's smooth, smoother than it's been in months. You ignore the dull ache at your temples, the tickle in your throat, because tonight your skin looks radiant, even if the breath beneath it is growing shallow. The next time you visit the bathhouse, the steam seems thicker. It clings to your skin like a wet shroud, curling under your garments, pressing into your pores. The sulphur hits your throat immediately. You swallow hard. The burn is sharper now. Your breath rattles ever so slightly, just a flutter, like paper catching in a draught. But you sit. You endure. Because to stop now would be to admit you're no longer in control. The attendant tightens the canvas sheet, trapping the vapour against your chest. She says nothing about the red patch blooming just below your collarbone. or the way your hands shake when you grip the wooden bench. She's seen it before, too many times. You tell yourself it's just this one session, then you'll rest. But you don't, because the next morning your skin gleams, your jawline looks sharper, the shadows beneath your eyes seem less cavernous, and the world notices. A man you haven't seen in weeks lingers longer in conversation. A younger girl compliments your glow, asking if you've changed your routine. You say nothing, only smile, because if you share the truth it will sound mad. I spend 20 minutes a day inhaling poisonous vapour inside a boiling room is not what people want to hear. You begin to wear high collars, not to hide your skin, but the rashes. They come and go now, blooming in pink streaks across your chest and neck. The physician attributes them to over-purification. He suggests skipping a few days. You nod, and return to the bath that very afternoon. The dizziness begins the following week. At first it feels like a misstep, a moment of lightheadedness when you stand too quickly. But then it comes when you're sitting still, reading, eating, speaking. Once you blink and the room swims before you. Rosa steadies your arm. You brush her off, say it's just the heat. But deep down, you know. Sulfur is a cleanser, yes, but it's also a gas, a fume, a toxin. It irritates the lungs, inflames the throat, disrupts the balance of your blood. You've read that it was once used to fumigate sick rooms and suffocate lice. Even burned as a punishment, smoke as torture. You try a gentler method, mixing sulfur powder into a honey mask applied weekly, but the results are slower, less dramatic. Your skin loses that sudden blooming brilliance. You begin to miss the steam, the hiss of the pipes, the sting in your lungs, the dizzy clarity that follows. So you return. This time you bring your own vial of sulfur concentrate. You hand it to the attendant with a folded note of instructions. Stronger, longer, you want results. Your breath may be thin, your lips dry, but your cheekbones glow like porcelain. One day, as you dress after the bath, your reflection flickers. Just a second, but you see it. Your eyes dulled, your lips pale, skin pink and raw beneath the surface. The glow is still there, yes, but it no longer looks alive. It looks fevered, as if the radiance is rising from under the skin, not upon it. You look away, you dress, you smile, and before the day ends you book another session. Because you can't lose now. Not after everything it's cost you to shine. You wake gasping. Not because of a nightmare, but because your lungs won't stretch. Your ribs feel tight, your stomach tender, and there's a sharp, unfamiliar pain behind your back when you inhale too deeply. You sit up slowly, pressing your palm to your side. It takes a few minutes to breathe normally again. You're not sick. At least that's what you keep telling yourself. It's the corset. You reach for the hook at your front and begin to unlace it. Gently, carefully. Each tug of the ribbon releases pressure, like steam from a kettle. When it finally falls open, your skin blooms outward, ribs rising hungrily to catch air. You let your hand rest on your belly, soft, warm, expanding. For a moment, you feel free. Then you remember the mirror. You walk toward it slowly. Without the corset, your silhouette is unfamiliar. Too soft in places, too wide in others. You turn sideways. Your stomach isn't flat. Your ribs are visible in strange places. Your waist doesn't taper like it should, and so you lace it back up again. The corset is your second skin, a sculptor's hand in linen and whalebone. It's not a question of vanity anymore. It's structure. It's the shape people expect to see when you enter a room. High waist, pushed bust, delicate frame. It says discipline. It says elegance. It says control. You've worn it since you were 15. Back then it was a novelty, a mother's ceremony. The first lace, the first steel busk. You remember giggling as you tried to walk stiffly down the hallway, the way your sisters cheered when you didn't faint by midday. But the years have taught you to hold your breath more often than not. You've mastered the art of fainting gracefully, of smiling through the ache between your shoulder blades, of hiding the bruises beneath your chemise. You know how to eat just enough to stay upright, but not enough to swell. How to breathe in sips during a long carriage ride. How to stand for hours while your hips scream beneath the pressure. The men say they prefer it. So feminine, they murmur, so delicate. They don't hear the crack of the stays when they're pulled too tight. They don't see the red welts blooming under your ribs. They don't smell the vinegar used to rub away the bruises at night. Doctors whisper now of constriction sickness, of displaced organs, weakened muscles, shallow lungs. They say tight lacing may lead to infertility, that it compresses the liver, that it shifts the stomach upward and the uterus downward. But these same doctors still expect their wives to wear them to dinner. So you do. Because not wearing one means explaining yourself, and who has time to justify breathing freely? At your latest fitting, the modiste smiled with satisfaction. 18 inches, she said, tugging at the tape. We'll get you to 17 by summer. You nodded, smiling faintly, though the world swayed slightly as you stood. 17 inches means compliments. It means turning heads. It means silence from the older women who watch waistlines more closely than manners. And if it cost you a few hours of breath, a few ribs out of place, then so be it. There's a moment each evening, after the guests have gone, after the candles are snuffed, when Rosa unlaces your corset and you feel like you might cry. Not from pain exactly, though there's plenty of that, but from the way your body re-expands like a secret. You didn't realize how deeply you'd been holding yourself in until the laces go slack. Your chest lifts, your stomach swells outward just enough to remind you you're alive beneath this armor. But the moment passes quickly, because now, without the corset, you feel loose, messy. You catch sight of yourself in the mirror and turn away. There's no definition, no structure, just softness and fatigue, rib marks fading slowly under your skin. So you wrap yourself in a shawl and sit by the fire, pressing a hand to your side where it still aches. The stories circulate now, quietly, among the women who know. A girl who fainted during her wedding vows and never woke up. Another who collapsed while dancing, her lungs too compressed to draw breath after laughing. They say some women have ribs that curve inward like claws from years of tight lacing. That autopsies reveal organs where they don't belong. But no one tells these stories at dress fittings. There, it's all about posture, precision and elegance. You try sleeping without the corset one night. Just a linen shift, light and airy. You lie flat on your back and wait. And then comes the strange part. Not relief, but discomfort. As though your spine has forgotten how to support you. Your stomach rises too much. Your shoulders roll the wrong way. You toss. You turn. At dawn, you give up and lace yourself back in. That's when it hits you. You don't feel right without it anymore. The corset has rewritten your body's memory. You've built your poise around its embrace. It's no longer an accessory. It's a necessity. At a garden luncheon, you see a younger woman wearing a new style. A looser bodice, minimal boning, natural waistline. She laughs easily, sits back in her chair, breathes freely. People glance, whisper, some admire, others grimace. You don't know whether to envy her or pity her, because while she may breathe easier, she doesn't draw the same kind of gaze. And isn't that what all of this is about? The gaze. The silent, heavy weight of being observed, judged, desired. And the corset, the very thing that limits your breath, amplifies your presence. It shapes the outline people remember. It smooths the story your body tells. You still remember the time a man told you, you carry yourself like a sculpture. You smiled. even as your ribs burned, because sculptures don't breathe either. And if beauty means stillness, silence, and suffering, you've already proven you're a masterpiece. There's a new bottle on your vanity, smaller than the others. Green glass, cloudy with age, with a gold foil seal crimped at the top. You unwrap it slowly, as if peeling into a secret. The liquid inside is amber, thick, and slightly iridescent. The apothecary called it beauty elixir for the blood and skin, and said it promotes vitality, clears dullness, and awakens the senses. You unscrew the cap and sniff, sharp, musky, earthy. There's something bitter beneath the sweetness, like old spice soaked in wine. The apothecary wouldn't say what's in it, only that it's potent but fashionable. You heard the same elixir is making rounds in Vienna and Prague. Nobles are importing it in batches. What he didn't mention is the main ingredient, antimony, a metalloid with a long, strange history, used in cosmetics, medicine, and even alchemy. Sometimes called Cole's cousin, it's been ground into powders, moulded into cups, even consumed in purgative tonics to cleanse the body. They used to sell antimony wafers shaped like coins. You'd swallow one and wait. Nature would take its course. Then you'd wash the coin and use it again, over and over. But this version is refined, modern, marketed with elegance and velvet. You take a sip. It burns slightly, like warm metal scraping your throat. The taste lingers, sharp and a little soapy. You shiver once, then steady yourself. Minutes pass. Your hands tingle, your cheeks warm. A mirror glance shows your skin flushing pink, alive, vibrant. The hollowness under your eyes seems to fade, and so, the next day, you take another. The effects are subtle at first. Slight restlessness, a twitch of the stomach. You skip lunch without realizing it. By evening, you feel oddly clear-headed, alert but distant, as if someone's drawn your attention into a sharper line. Your skin, though, it looks divine, dewy, almost translucent. That's what everyone notices. At tea, your cousin leans in and whispers, "You've never looked better." You thank her, swallowing the dryness in your throat. You've started drinking more water. Your lips chap quickly now, and sometimes your fingers go cold for no reason at all. Still, the compliments keep coming. You begin to time your doses carefully. 1 sip before social calls, a few drops before the painter arrives. It lifts your face just enough, creates a faint, healthy tension in the cheeks. Rosa doesn't ask any more. She just places the bottle on the tray beside your gloves, like it belongs there. But late at night, the dreams begin. You wake with your heart pounding, soaked in sweat. Your mouth tastes of metal. Your pillow dampens with it. Your thoughts buzz like bees trapped in a jar. You lie still, waiting for the weight in your chest to pass. Sometimes it takes minutes, sometimes longer. You consider stopping, but in the morning the mirror waits, and your reflection is kinder than it has been in years. You start carrying the elixir with you, just a small flask tucked in your reticule, hidden among gloves and handkerchiefs. You tell yourself it's precaution, just in case you feel faint. But the truth is, you can't bear the idea of being without it, because something has changed. When you skip a dose, your face seems to sag, your lips lose their pinkness. Your skin takes on a slight grey cast that no powder can hide. Even Rosa notices. She doesn't speak of it, but her eyes linger longer when she brushes your hair. She brings you ginger tea in the mornings now, unasked. She's seen the trembling in your hands, the slight drag in your step. You're not the only one drinking it, of course. Antimony is the new darling among the fashionable. You've overheard women sharing recipes, adding it to cordials, syrups, even warm milk before bed. Some claim it clears the mind. Others say it makes them sleep like children. You no longer sleep at all. You lie in bed, eyes wide, thoughts racing, heart ticking too fast. You've begun to feel your heartbeat in your neck, your temples, your wrists. It's as if your body has become a drum, too tightly stretched. Still, you rise in the morning, draw the curtains, and take your sip. Your appetite has all but vanished. Meals become rituals of politeness, nibbles, sips, long pauses between bites. No one says anything directly, but you see the glances, the way people look at you, then at your untouched plate. You've grown sharper in frame, your cheeks more defined. Elegant, they say. You've started fainting. At first, you blame the heat, or the corset. Once, at a gallery opening, you slipped sideways into a chair before collapsing completely. People rushed to you, cold compresses, whispered worry. You waved them off with a smile and blamed low sugar. A wafer later, you were standing again, composed, glowing. But inside, your stomach curled and your vision sparked like flint. One morning, Rosa finds you on the floor. You had tried to reach for the elixir and missed. Your fingers knocked it from the table, and it shattered on the tiles. You don't remember falling, only the sound of glass, and then the silence after. Rosa helps you up with trembling hands. She doesn't speak. She sweeps up the shards in silence, gathers them in a cloth and ties it tight. That night, she does not place a new bottle on the tray. And for the first time in weeks, you don't ask. Instead, you sit at the vanity and look into the mirror. Your skin is luminous, yes, but pale in a way that frightens you now. Translucent, like wax. Your eyes look too large, your lips too thin. You're beautiful in the way a statue is beautiful, unchanging, cold, unbreathing. You run your fingers along your cheekbone and feel the hollowness beneath. You don't know if you'll take the next sip, but as you turn from the mirror and climb into bed, you already miss the warmth it gave you, the fire behind your eyes, the illusion of life, even as it quietly pulled you toward the edge. Because the truth is, beauty like this never fades. It just burns until there's nothing left. The powder looks harmless enough. It sits in a porcelain jar beside your rouge and face cloths, pale grey with a faint shimmer, ground so fine it almost floats when you lift the lid. You tap the brush gently, careful not to raise a cloud. The instructions are clear, light application only, just enough to set the skin, just enough to soften the shine. Antimony again, but this time not swallowed, breathed. You sweep the powder across your forehead, your cheeks, the bridge of your nose. It feels cool, almost soothing, especially after the heat of the sulphur baths and the tight pull of the corset. The finish is exquisite. Matte, smooth, dignified. Your face looks sculpted, controlled, untouched by sweat or strain. This is what refinement looks like now. Antimony powder has become fashionable because it promises restraint. No greasy shine, no flushed excess. Just calm, pale perfection. The women who use it speak of balance, of bringing the body back into harmony. Some even say it absorbs impurities from the skin itself, drawing sickness outward like a magnet. You like the idea of that, because lately you've been feeling like something inside you is misaligned. The first sign is the cough, dry, shallow and persistent. You clear your throat often during conversation, pressing a handkerchief to your lips to hide it. The powder clings to everything now, your collars, your sleeves, the lining of your gloves. Each breath stirs it faintly. You taste metal when you speak too much. A faint chalkiness coats your tongue. Still, your complexion is flawless. At a luncheon, a woman leans close and whispers, "What are you using? You look serene." You smile and tell her it's nothing special, just a powder. She nods knowingly, as if you've shared a secret without words. Later you see her at the apothecary, examining the same jar. You begin to apply it more often, once in the morning, again before social calls, a final dusting before evening events. You cough more. Your chest feels tight some days, like your breath doesn't quite reach the bottom. You assume it's the corset again. It's always easy to blame the corset. One afternoon, as you powder your face, a sudden dizziness washes over you. The room tilts. You grip the edge of the vanity, heart thudding. It passes quickly, leaving only a faint ringing in your ears. You sit down, wait, and continue. Because you've learned something important by now. Stopping is always worse than continuing. You remember the lead cream cracking your skin, the arsenic wafers tightening your stomach, the radium glow that never quite faded. Each time you tried to step away, your reflection punished you for it. Dullness, sagging, absence. This powder doesn't betray you that way. Not yet. At night, when you wash your face, grey water swirls down the basin. You notice small sores at the corners of your mouth, dry patches that won't heal. You press balm into them and turn away from the mirror. Tomorrow, you'll use a lighter hand. Tomorrow is always lighter. You begin to notice how quiet your breathing has become, not calmer, quieter, as if your lungs are working behind a closed door. When you climb the stairs, you pause halfway, pretending to admire a painting while your chest catches up. When you laugh, it ends too soon, clipped short by a shallow inhale. No one comments. You've learned how to disguise it. The powder is everywhere now. It settles invisibly on your vanity, your chair, the folds of your dresses. When sunlight slants through the window, you see it floating. Tiny silver motes drifting lazily through the air. You wave them away and keep working. Dust is harmless. Everyone knows that. Except this dust isn't dust. Antimony has a way of finding its path inward. You breathe it. It clings to the damp skin around your mouth, your eyes, the inside of your nose. It lodges where it's not meant to be and waits. Slowly your chest tightens. Slowly your heart grows erratic, but slowly is easy to ignore. Rosa notices the cough before you do. She brings honey water unprompted. She asks if you'd like the windows opened. You tell her no. The air is draughty. It might spoil your complexion. She presses her lips together and says nothing more. At a gathering, you feel the room spin without warning, just for a moment. The sound fades, as if someone has placed cotton in your ears. You grip the back of a chair and smile until the world steadies again. A woman nearby asks if you're well. You nod. Of course you are. You look perfect. Later, alone, you remove your gloves and notice your fingers trembling. Fine tremors, barely visible, but constant. When you hold them out, they don't quite stop. You clasp them together and wait. Eventually, the shaking fades. You think of the antimony coin stories again, how people once swallowed the same piece over and over, using its violent purging as proof it was working. You wonder how many of them convinced themselves that sickness was just the body adjusting. How many thought discomfort meant success. You understand them now. One evening you forget to powder your face before dinner. It's only after dessert that you realise it. You excuse yourself and hurry to the mirror. Your skin looks wrong, slightly shiny, slightly uneven, alive in a way you no longer trust. Panic flares, quick and sharp. You rush to apply the powder, coughing as the brush kicks it into the air. The relief is immediate. Your face settles back into calm lines, pale, controlled, acceptable. Your chest hurts afterward, a dull pressure that lingers as you lie in bed. You place a hand over your sternum and breathe carefully, shallow and slow, until sleep takes you. In the dark, you dream of dust, endless, drifting dust, coating everything you love. You wake with the taste of metal in your mouth and the certainty that tomorrow you'll do it all again. Because the powder doesn't ask for devotion, it assumes it. The jar is small and red, ceramic with a lid shaped like a flower. Inside, the paste is thick, rich, and a colour so vivid it seems almost unreal. Crimson, dark as spilled wine. The smell is faintly sweet, like dried fruit mixed with vinegar. This is your lip stain. And it doesn't just colour, it claims. The woman who sold it to you said it came from the Americas. She whispered of Aztec rituals, sacred pigments, crushed cochineal insects. Thousands of them, she said with a smile. Ground into powder, mixed with alum and lye, bound with oil. It's a process, a kind of alchemy. The colour doesn't just sit on the lips, it seeps into them. Lasts for hours, makes people look twice. You dab a bit onto your fingertip and press it against your mouth. It tingles, then it burns. But the colour it leaves behind is magnificent, deep, lush, almost bloody. It catches the light when you speak. It stays after tea. It remains after kisses. It does not fade without a fight. You ignore the way your lips begin to peel. The skin flakes in slivers, so small you barely notice until your tongue finds the rawness. You press balm over it. You layer more pigment on top. The colour covers everything. No one sees the sore beneath the shine. You begin applying it more often, not just for parties, but for quiet walks, for letters, for afternoons spent entirely alone. You've come to depend on the colour, not because others expect it, but because you do. Your reflection looks weak without it. Washed. Small. Carmine, they call it. It's been used for centuries, first by empires, then by empresses, then by everyday women who wanted just a little more attention, a little more definition. Some versions are harmless, others less so. Alum burns, lye corrodes. Some formulations use ammonia, others use powdered lead. It depends on who made it and how much they cared about what happens after the sale. You have 3 jars now, one in your vanity, one in your purse, and a secret one hidden beneath your glove box, just in case. The idea of being without it fills you with unease. Once you forgot to pack it before a dinner and spent the entire evening chewing your lips raw, desperate for a flush of colour. People noticed. They said you looked tired. The next day, you swore never again. The red stains more than lips. Some mornings you wake with colour still on your pillowcase. You try to hide it from Rosa, but she's already started bringing warm water and lemon cloths before breakfast. Her silence is louder these days. You overhear someone whisper once that carmine is made from bugs. The girl gasps in horror. You smile faintly to yourself. Let her gasp. She doesn't know what it means to need colour, to crave it the way some crave coffee or confession, to reach for it as if it were breath. Because now when you look in the mirror and see bare lips, you don't see yourself. You see absence, and absence is unbearable. The burning starts earlier now. Before, it came only after. Hours of wear, a slow sting, a faint throb beneath the tint. Now it arrives moments after the first touch. As soon as the carmine hits your lips, your skin pulses like it's been scraped. But you've grown used to it. The pain feels normal, expected, necessary. What isn't normal anymore is the bleeding. It happens in small ways. A tiny split at the centre of your lower lip. A pinprick crack near the corner of your mouth. You taste iron when you smile too wide. Sometimes, when you remove the stain with oil, your cloth comes away pink, and not from the pigment. You use balm at night, thick and waxy, but it can't keep up. The damage outpaces the healing. Each day, the carmine has to work harder to cover the evidence it leaves behind, and still you apply it. Because your reflection depends on that red, your lips are your weapon, Your punctuation. They smile, pout, press, promise. Without their colour, your face loses structure, definition, authority. You could have a perfect complexion, glowing cheeks, flawless brows, but if your lips are bare, you feel erased. There's a portrait of you in the hallway, painted last year. The artist captured your smile mid-sentence, lips full and soft, stained in that same perfect crimson. You walk past it now and pause. You stare at those lips, the version of yourself that never dried out, never peeled, never cracked. She seems so effortless, so impossible. You've read about actresses in Paris who use even stronger versions of the stain, mixed with spirits, vinegar, sometimes even rust. They claim the burn deepens the tone, makes it last longer. Some of them develop ulcers. Others whisper about teeth loosening, gums receding. But always their lips remain unforgettable. You wonder if they taste blood when they speak too. One evening, while preparing for a ball, you hesitate. You touch your lips. They're raw, tender, the skin split in two places. Rosa enters with your gown and stops short when she sees your face. You haven't applied the carmine yet. Her voice is soft. You could wear the clear balm tonight, just for once. You look at her for a long time. Then you reach for the red jar. You dip your finger in, apply carefully, and feel the fire bloom across your mouth. It brings tears to your eyes, but you don't let them fall. When you turn back to the mirror, the colour is perfect again. Flawless. Alive. And as you descend the staircase that night, everyone sees only the red. Not the tremble. Not the hurt. Just the woman who knows exactly what she wants, and the price she'll pay for it. Because in the world you live in, bare lips are weakness, and red is war paint. You lie on your back, eyes closed, arms folded, and try not to flinch. The resin has cooled just enough to thicken, sticky and golden like melted amber. Rosa kneels beside you with steady hands, pressing it onto your skin in strips. It clings immediately. You feel every pore tighten beneath it. It's been steeped in herbs, she says. Mint for cooling, chamomile for calm, but nothing soothes the moment before the pull. Ready? She asks softly. You nod. She yanks. Your breath leaves you in a hiss. It's not pain so much as a kind of shock, like your skin has been lifted from your bones. You blink rapidly, eyes stinging with tears you didn't expect. Rosa smooths the next strip down your shin. This is how the nobility stays smooth, not with razors which are clumsy, crude and prone to cuts, not with pumice stones which leave skin raw, but with wax, or, more often, hot resin or sugared honey boiled until thick, spread and ripped away in calculated cruelty. In ancient times, this was a mark of prestige. Egyptian queens used sugar wax infused with citrus and crushed herbs. Roman brides were plucked entirely bare with tweezers before their wedding nights. In some cultures, women of status were expected to keep every inch of skin hairless, even if it meant hours of plucking, scraping or burning. Now, it's just you and the resin. Rosa works down one leg, then the other. Behind your knees, along your thighs, you twitch as she smooths it along the inside of your arm, delicate exposed skin. She waits only seconds before tearing it free. Another gasp. You clench the edge of the sheet. She murmurs something about aloe. You barely hear it. The pain dulls eventually, replaced by a strange numbness. Your skin pulses, tingling, sensitive to air. Goosebumps rise instantly. Rosa wraps you in a thin sheet and begins preparing the honey mixture for your arms. Honey is gentler in theory, but it sticks just the same. You've grown used to this. You've had it done monthly, then weekly, now twice a week. The intervals shrink as the expectations rise. A stray hair is a scandal. A missed spot is a humiliation. You've heard women murmur behind fans about a hostess who'd let her forearms go untouched for nearly a month. They said she must be ill, or depressed, or poor. You wonder what they'd say about you, lying here like a patient before surgery. Rosa peels away another strip. You bite the inside of your cheek. Once she told you she'd seen women blister from improperly cooled resin. One girl lost skin from the bend of her elbow to the top of her hand. She couldn't dress herself for a week. But the client returned, Rosa said. She always returns. You understand that now, because even though your skin is burning, flushed and inflamed, it's also flawless. And tonight, when you wear your evening gown, short sleeves, open back, no one will doubt your refinement, no one will question your discipline, and no one will see the cost. Rosa brings the cool cloth and presses it to your thighs. You wince. The sting of raw skin against wet linen is sharp but familiar now. She dabs gently, careful not to smear the faint trails of pink where blood has risen just beneath the surface. You lie still, letting the pain settle like dust. There's something oddly peaceful about the aftermath. The room smells faintly of mint, sugar, and candle wax. The resin has been scraped away. Your body feels clean, bare, as if it's been stripped of not just hair but identity. You're all smooth edges now, crafted, refined. There's no place left for imperfection. But later, when you dress, you notice the bruising. Tiny blooms like fingertip-sized violets scattered across the inside of your thighs and under your arms. They weren't there this morning. You touch one gently. It pulses. Rosa offers to cover them with powder. You nod, saying nothing. These days, you don't question the marks anymore, because they're easier to hide than the feeling of being seen with a stray hair. That shame cuts deeper than the strips ever could. At tea, you overhear two ladies discussing the latest purifying wax imported from the East. One says it contains frankincense, the other swears it has opium. It numbs the pain, she whispers, as if that's indulgent. You sip your drink and press your legs tightly together beneath the table, feeling the dull throb with every movement. Someone compliments your arms. You thank them, smiling as your fingers twitch from the memory of being pinned still. By evening, the redness has dulled to a tender glow. You choose a gown with sheer sleeves, draped to show your collarbones and the slope of your shoulders. When you enter the salon, every head turns, exactly as you intended. Your skin catches the candlelight like marble. No one knows you couldn't sit comfortably an hour ago. No one sees the faint redness near your ankles where Rosa tugged too hard. No one asks what it costs to be this polished. That's the magic of it. You glide through the room, nodding, laughing gently, your hands folded just so, never touching the parts that still ache. And when the pianist asks what makes you so radiant tonight, you only say, discipline. He laughs, thinking it's a joke. Later you return home and undress carefully, slowly, as though unwrapping a glass figurine. You press cold cloths to your thighs and arms, breathing in shallow rhythms, and before bed you glance at the jar on your vanity. The resin will harden by morning. Rosa will reheat it. The cycle will begin again, because smoothness is temporary, but the memory of judgment, that lingers. So you will lie still and endure, again and again, until your skin forgets what softness ever felt like. The first time you smell it, you're not sure whether to be charmed or repulsed. It's earthy, musky, almost animal. The jar is dark amber glass, tightly sealed with wax and twine. You tug it open, and the scent curls into the room, strong, thick, and strange. Rosa crinkles her nose. You don't blame her. This is bear grease. Or perhaps it's snake fat. The labels blur together. scrawled in different hands across the growing collection of jars on your shelf. Some claim to come from apothecaries in Russia, others from herbalists in the Caucasus, or smugglers out of Constantinople. The stories are always the same. This oil restores hair. Not just shine, not just softness, regrowth. That's what you need now. Because your hair is thinning. Not falling out in dramatic handfuls, nothing that obvious. Just less volume, less weight when you brush it. The part is wider. The edges near your temples feel sparse. A fine sheen of scalp peeks through in certain lights, and your stomach tightens when you see it. So you begin the ritual. You warm the oil in a small dish over a candle flame, then dip your fingers in and press it into your scalp. The grease clings, heavy and thick with a scent like wet fur and pine sap. You massage gently, moving in circles, careful not to disturb the fragile roots. It stains your pillowcases, ruins your ribbons, but you do it nightly, because the rumours are convincing. In Vienna, they say Empress Elizabeth used bear grease wrapped in silk cloths. In France, one beauty columnist claimed snake fat was as essential as perfume. There are whispered recipes, 1 part rendered fat, 1 part laurel oil, a dash of honey, a pinch of salt. Some add vodka, others recommend massaging it in during the full moon. You try them all. Soon, your bedroom smells like a tanner's shop. Rosa leaves the windows open longer. She replaces your pillow linen with darker cloth, but you can tell she finds it harder to meet your eyes now, especially after the sores start. Small at first, tender red spots along your scalp that don't heal, then blisters, just 1 or 2 that burst and scab. You tell yourself it's the heat, or perhaps the brush, but the truth is harder to hold on to. These oils weren't made for delicate skin. They were made for hooves, for hides, for fur that could stand the winter, and your skin is paper thin from years of dye, powder, tight buns, pins, and poison. You tried to hold on to youth with flame and metal, and now you're rubbing beast fat into the wounds. But you keep doing it, because once your hair reached your waist, once it shimmered in lamplight and smelled like roses, now it smells like smoke and vinegar. And when you walk past mirrors, you tuck your hair behind your ear quickly, praying no one notices how much of your scalp gleams beneath the strands. You begin tying scarves more often. Not the decorative kind, the real ones, thick and strategic, knotted at just the right angle to suggest style, rather than necessity. You've grown skilled at it. A twist here, a tuck there. A pin with a pearl distracts from the thinness near your temples. You angle yourself carefully in conversation. You sit with your back to the light, and still, every morning, you open the jar. The grease is cold now, even after warming. It doesn't melt into your hands like it used to. Instead, it clings, thick and unmoving, like resin. The smell has deepened too, less like forest, more like cellar. You hesitate just a moment before pressing it to your scalp, because you can't stop now. Your hairbrush tells the story you try to hide. The bristles fill faster, you clean it in silence, you've begun to count the strands on your pillow. Last week, Rosa found a clump beside the dressing table and quietly swept it away. She didn't mention it. You didn't ask. You've tried other methods. Rosemary water, egg yolk rinses, onion broth boiled until thick and sour. Nothing helps. Nothing feels like the promise that bear grease once held. That whisper. It will come back. But it hasn't. You tell yourself the oil is just slowing the loss, keeping what's left intact. If you stop now, maybe it'll fall all at once. Maybe your scalp will betray you entirely. So you keep applying. One evening, a visitor comments on your scent, not cruelly, just curiously. Something wild in the air, he says with a smile, like storm and fur. You laugh, brushing it off, but later when you undress, you smell it too. It clings to your collar, your sleeves, your skin. You start bathing twice a day. You ask Rosa to bring stronger soaps. You request lavender sachets of mint and pine pressed between your gloves. You burn cinnamon oil before guests arrive. But under it all, the scent remains. It has become you. You wonder, sometimes, how many other women sit like this in the quiet of their rooms, rubbing bear grease into scalp wounds, watching the hair on their brushes multiply. You wonder if they hide it too, if they whisper prayers over their jars, if they've begun dreaming, like you do now, of fur sprouting from their arms, of claws growing where their fingernails used to be. The dreams are vivid. You wake disoriented, hands trembling, heart racing. You splash water on your face and avoid the mirror, because in the dream your hair was thick again. But you were no longer human. You were something wild, something soft and dark and hunted. And even now, in the stillness of your vanity, rubbing animal fat into a patch of reddened skin, you think, maybe that wouldn't be so bad. At least animals don't have to explain themselves. At least they don't need beauty to be allowed to exist. You don't build your hair any longer. You build over it. The first time the hairdresser brings the padding, you laugh, lightly, politely. It looks ridiculous in her hands, a soft, lumpy form wrapped in linen. But when she places it on your head and begins arranging your hair around it, something changes. Height, structure, authority. Your reflection stretches upward, elegant and commanding. This is how women are wearing their hair now. Not loose, not natural, but elevated, sculpted, towering. The poof requires support, horsehair pads, rolled fabric, and sometimes something heavier. Grease binds it all together. Bear grease, lard, pomade thick with flour. It stiffens as it cools, holding every curl in place. Your scalp tightens beneath the weight. Pins bite. You hold still. The finished result is magnificent. Your hair rises nearly a foot above your forehead, curls spilling artfully down the sides. It balances your face, draws the eye upward, makes your neck look long and fragile. People stare, they always do. What they don't see is what's inside. The grease never fully dries. It stays warm, soft, inviting. Over days, it turns sour. You smell it faintly when you turn your head too quickly. You mask it with powder, with perfume, with ribbons soaked in oil of bergamot. And then, one morning, you feel it. A tickle. Just a small one, near the back of your scalp. You scratch discreetly. The sensation returns an hour later. Then again, a crawling feeling, slow and deliberate, like something exploring. You don't tell anyone, because you already know what this means. The flour attracts them. The grease feeds them. Lice arrive quietly, unnoticed at first. Sometimes fleas, sometimes worse. There are stories, maids whisper them while sweeping, of mice nesting in women's hair. Warmth, food, shelter, a perfect refuge. You laugh when you hear it. Of course you do. Mice? In hair? Ridiculous. But the itching grows. At night you sleep propped upright, careful not to disturb the structure. The poof takes hours to build. You can't undo it every evening. That would be wasteful. So you wrap your head in linen and rest carefully, trying not to think about the movement you swear you feel beneath the padding. By the third night, the itch is unbearable. You sit at your vanity and slowly, carefully lift one pin, then another. A small cascade of powder falls onto the table. The smell hits you immediately. Rancid, sweet, unmistakable. When you finally peel the padding away, your scalp is red, raw, dotted with bites. You gasp softly. There's movement. Just a flicker, a blur, something darting away as light hits it. You close your eyes. Tomorrow, you tell yourself, you'll clean it thoroughly, strip it all away, Start fresh, but tomorrow is a dinner party, and your hair must rise. Rosa lights more candles than usual that night, not for ambiance, for inspection. You sit in your dressing chair, perfectly still, while she leans over you with a comb and a shallow silver dish. Her face is blank, but her hands tremble slightly. She parts your hair gently, methodically, searching the folds of padding and the damp layers of pomade beneath. Every so often she pauses, pinches something between her fingers, and drops it silently into the dish. You don't ask how many. You don't want to know. The mirror doesn't lie, though. Your scalp is inflamed, red patches blooming across your temples and behind your ears. Small welts rise where the padding rested longest. You dab at them with rose water, pretending not to wince. The skin is soft there, too soft now, as though it's forgotten how to be bare. And still, the worst part isn't the bites, or the scabs, or the smell. It's the shame. Because for all the grandness of your attire, the towering elegance of your presence, you know what they would whisper if they saw the truth. Unclean. Animal. Even the smallest flaw in hygiene, or what looks like hygiene, is enough to ruin a woman's reputation. Never mind that you cannot take apart the structure each night without wasting hours and materials. Never mind that the grease was recommended, the powder fashionable. If lice find you, the blame is yours. Always yours. So Rosa begins powdering the hair more heavily, layers upon layers, until the scent is masked, until the residue clings to your forehead and lashes like flour. She rubs your scalp with vinegar before every rebuild. She sets traps around your vanity. And you? You go on. You go to dinners, salons, concerts. You nod gracefully while your scalp burns. You smile as the weight of the poof pulls at your roots. You wear feathers, dried flowers, even tiny ships perched atop the padding, each ornament a distraction from the horror beneath. Once you hear a friend confess that her own poof collapsed mid-supper. The smell gave her away. Her maid had to cut her hair that night. All of it. She had wept in silence, hiding from every mirror in the house for weeks. You nod solemnly, clutching your wine glass a little tighter, because your own collapse is coming. You feel it in the way your hair no longer holds shape without pain, in the quiet panic that rises when Rosa doesn't arrive on time with the powder, in the thinning patches along your scalp, hidden now only by careful styling and desperate silence. And one evening, when you lean forward to greet a guest with a kiss, you feel something move. Inside the poof, just the faintest twitch. Your smile never falters. You lean back slowly, and the conversation continues. Because in this world, discomfort is preferable to disgrace. And if a few creatures make their home in your beauty, you simply offer them space. You're told it's just a tonic. A small vial with a paper label etched in fine script and stamped with a golden seal. The liquid inside is clear, with a faint yellow tinge, barely noticeable when you hold it to the light. The instructions are printed in delicate French. Pour affiner la silhouette, pour réduire l'excès, une goutte suffit. To refine the silhouette, to reduce excess. One drop is enough. You unscrew the lid and smell it. Bitter, almost metallic, the kind of sharpness that clings to your throat. You hesitate only briefly before tipping a single drop into your tea. It disperses instantly, leaving no trace behind. You stir, sip, and wait. Within the hour you feel it. Your stomach churns softly. A wave of heat rises in your chest, then fades. You're not ill exactly, just alert, hollow. You skip your second course at dinner without thinking. By morning your corset laces close just a little tighter. The bottle promises transformation. Not just appetite suppression, but energy, sharpness, a slimming of the face, a lightness in the limbs. Some say it encourages inner fire. Others whisper about its origins in Eastern medicine, where rare barks and alkaloids are said to reset the body's balance. What they don't say, at least not out loud, is that this tonic contains strychnine. Yes, the same strychnine used to poison rats. The same chemical once slipped into rivals' goblets in court intrigues. In small doses, it stimulates the central nervous system, elevates the pulse, suppresses hunger. It's been marketed as a pick-me-up by certain physicians who seem willing to overlook the finer details of toxicity. You take a second dose 2 days later. This time, not in tea, just straight from the dropper. It stings the inside of your cheek, and your tongue tingles long after it's gone. Your thoughts race. Your fingers tap the armrest without meaning to, but your waist measures half an inch smaller by evening, and that's all that matters. You begin tracking it obsessively, measuring your waist every morning, logging meals in your head, weighing every bite against the reflection in the mirror. You eat less, you sleep less, but you move with a lightness that feels addictive. Your cheekbones sharpen, your gowns hang more elegantly. People comment, "You look radiant. You've slimmed beautifully. What's your secret?" You smile and sip water. The third dose brings tremors, tiny at first, your left pinky twitching as you thread a needle, a fluttering in your eyelid. You ignore them. A small price to pay. Your concentration has improved after all. You feel clear, focused, brilliant. But your heart pounds in strange ways now, lurching suddenly, then racing, then slowing without warning. You wake at night, chest tight, unsure if it's from dreams or the tonic. Still, you reach for the bottle each morning, because you've begun to fear what might return if you stop. The weight, the softness, the hunger, that unspeakable thing beauty cannot allow. The tremors no longer wait for fine tasks. They arrive when you're standing still, tiny electric shivers beneath your skin, as if your muscles are listening for instructions that never quite arrive. Your jaw tightens unexpectedly. Your calves tense for no reason at all. You learn to disguise it by shifting your weight, by clasping your hands, by smiling. Smiling helps people look at your face instead of your fingers. The tonic works too well. That's the problem. Hunger fades into something distant and theoretical, like a memory from childhood. Food becomes decorative. You move it around your plate, sip broth, accept compliments. Your corset laces close another notch. Your dresses hang perfectly. You feel light, almost buoyant. But at night your body rebels. Your legs jerk as you drift towards sleep. Sharp spasms snap you awake, heart racing. Once, your foot kicks so hard it knocks over the bedside glass. Another night, your hands curl inward, fingers stiff and clawed until you force them open with your other hand. You lie there afterward, staring into the dark, breathing shallowly, waiting for control to return. You tell yourself it's nerves. The physician who sold you the tonic warned you to keep the dose modest. You nod when you think of that word. Modest. You've always been excellent at that, so you reduce it slightly. Not much. Just enough to reassure yourself you're being careful, but even careful poison is still poison. You notice the way your reflexes sharpen unnaturally. A door slams and you jump. Someone drops a spoon and your whole body jolts. Your laughter comes too fast, too loud, then stops abruptly. Your muscles feel coiled, tense, ready to snap. Still, you measure your waist each morning. Still, the number pleases you. At a luncheon, you watch a woman across the table take a second helping of bread. The sight makes your stomach twist. Not with hunger, but with fear. You imagine softness returning, flesh reclaiming space. The thought alone tightens your chest. You excuse yourself early and take another drop that afternoon just to steady things. Your heart races afterward, hammering against your ribs like it's trying to escape. You sit perfectly still until it slows, palms pressed flat against your skirt. You remember hearing once that strychnine was prescribed in the past as a stimulant for weak constitutions, that doctors believed it woke the nerves, sharpened the mind. They weren't entirely wrong. It does wake everything, including the parts that should remain asleep. One evening while dressing, you feel your jaw lock, just for a second. Your teeth grind together, uncontrollable. Rosa looks up sharply. You wave her off, forcing a laugh. "Just tired, you say?" She nods, unconvinced. Later, alone, you examine yourself in the mirror. Your face is narrow now, beautifully so, but your eyes look too bright, too alert, as if you're always on the edge of something. You lower yourself into bed carefully, muscles humming, nerves buzzing. Sleep comes in fragments. Between spasms, you drift through dreams where you're running endlessly, chased by nothing, unable to stop. And yet, in the morning, when you lace your corset and see the reflection it creates, your hand reaches for the bottle again, because the tonic hasn't taken beauty from you. It's taken rest. And rest, you decide, is negotiable. The device looks more theatrical than medical. A polished wooden chair with brass arms, a crown of wires draped like a halo, small glass bulbs screwed into metal sockets, each one waiting. When the attendant connects the final cable, the machine hums softly, alive in a way that makes your skin prickle before it ever touches you. This is electrical beauty therapy. They say it's modern, scientific, harmless. Electricity is the future, lighting streets, powering trams, animating cities after dark. Why shouldn't it animate your skin as well? Why shouldn't it chase wrinkles away, tighten slack flesh, wake tired nerves? You sit, spine straight, hands resting in your lap. The crown is lowered onto your head. Cool metal kisses your temples. The attendant adjusts the knobs and smiles reassuringly. "You may feel a slight tingling," she says. She turns the dial. The sensation is immediate. Not painful, at least not at first. A fizzing warmth spreads across your scalp, down your neck, into your jaw. Your hair lifts slightly, standing on end beneath the wires. You bite back a laugh. It feels strange, exciting, like being filled with champagne bubbles. Sparks snap faintly in the glass bulbs. They call it galvanic stimulation. Supposed to improve circulation, to firm the skin, to energize the muscles beneath the face. Some claim it smooths lines overnight. Others swear it restores youth if used regularly, daily even. You close your eyes and let the current flow. Your muscles twitch involuntarily. Tiny jumps along your cheek, a sudden tightening of the mouth. You feel your jaw clench, then relax. The attendant watches closely, adjusting the strength. "That's normal," she says when you flinch. "It means it's working." You think of everything else that was working. The lead cream, the arsenic wafers, the radium glow. This, at least, leaves no residue. After the session, your skin looks flushed and taut. Your face feels awake, alert, buzzing slightly, as if you've just come in from the cold. When you touch your cheek, it feels firmer, alive. You like that. You return the next day, and the next. Soon, the tingling isn't enough. You ask for a stronger setting. The attendant hesitates, then obliges. The shocks sharpen. Your neck jerks slightly when the current surges. You laugh it off, though your heart races afterward. You feel restless, energized, unable to sit still, but the mirror rewards you. Your jawline looks sharper, your eyes brighter. The faint sag at the corner of your mouth seems lifted. People comment that you look refreshed, younger. You preen under the praise, ignoring the way your hands shake afterward, or how your face twitches when you're tired. Electricity feels clean, invisible, not like powders or potions. You convince yourself this is finally safe. But late at night, lying in bed, your muscles won't relax. Your face pulses with phantom currents. Your eyelids flutter, opening and closing without command. You press your palms against your cheeks, willing them still. Sleep comes slowly, broken by sudden jerks, flashes of light behind closed eyes. Still, when morning arrives, you dress carefully, smooth your hair, and schedule another session. Because the future hums softly now, and you're plugged into it. You begin to crave the sessions, not just for their results, but for the sensation, the jolt, the buzz, the strange thrill of submission. It's as though something inside you switches on each time the current touches your skin. A quiet place in your mind flickers awake. The tension in your face isn't erased, it's replaced. You start describing the sessions in strange terms, invigorating, clarifying. Words you once used for citrus baths or rosewater rinses now belong to sparks and static. You go twice a week, then 3. By the 4th, the technician eyes you with a mix of politeness and concern. The skin needs time to rest, she offers gently. You smile and nod and book the next appointment anyway. Your reflection has never looked more composed, but your face no longer feels like it belongs to you. It twitches at rest now. Small flutters of the brow, a constant tension in your jaw. You wake up with your teeth clenched so tightly your molars ache. Rosa notices. She begins setting your brush beside a bowl of cool cloths in the morning. You say nothing. What could you possibly explain? The pulses have grown sharper, even between sessions. One afternoon, while speaking with a friend, your cheek spasms so visibly she pauses mid-sentence. You pretend it was a sneeze. She nods too quickly. The conversation dies. But you go again. This time, you request the full facial crown, not just the temple clamps. The bulbs glow brighter. The buzz is audible now, not imagined. It hums in your ears like a distant swarm. You grip the arms of the chair as your eyes twitch and your scalp contracts. Afterward, you struggle to speak for several minutes. Your tongue feels thick. Your lips tingle as if kissed by frost. But the glow returns. That tight, lifted look that erases fatigue. That clears your face like smoothing silk over glass. You catch glimpses of yourself in windows and find satisfaction there. Not joy, not peace, but something close to victory. You're winning the battle against gravity, against time, against softness. You're electric now. You're unyielding. And then one day, the power cuts. Just a moment. A flicker in the salon. The bulbs die. The chair falls silent. You sit there, blank. Your face half animated and the other half slack. The technician rushes to restore the current. When it returns, you feel something jolt behind your eye, sharp and hot. It doesn't go away. You walk home that evening with a headache that feels like lightning bottled behind your skull. Your face twitches, burns. Your smile misfires. Rosa meets you at the door, her face pale. You wave her away, climb the stairs, lie in the dark. The spark flickers on its own now. You feel it even with the machine off. You tell yourself this is progress, adaptation, that your body has learned to carry the charge on its own. But in your dreams you glow like a filament, tense, hot, humming, forever on the edge of burning out. You've always been proud of your smile. It was effortless once. Wide, white, expressive. A tool as much as a trait. Smiles smoothed awkward silences, dissolved tension, drew admiration. You could flash one like a blade or let it linger like perfume. But now, as you stand before the mirror and trace your tongue along your teeth, that pride has begun to falter. Because your gums are bleeding again. The blood is subtle, just a pink ring in your teacup, a streak on the corner of your handkerchief. But it's there, and it's new. You press your fingers along your lower jaw and feel a soreness just beneath the gum line, like bruises hiding in your bones. Still, you rinse. The elixir sits beside your brush in an ornate glass bottle with a heavy silver cap. The label promises brightness, freshness, a floral finish and invigorating bite. You shake it, pour it into a tiny glass and bring it to your lips. The sting is immediate. Acid, salt, a bitterness that climbs into your nose and doesn't leave. Your eyes water as you swish. You try not to spit too quickly. Let it do its work, they say. The longer it stays, the whiter your teeth become. This is what they call a Victorian tooth elixir. Fashionable, aggressively cleansing. A concoction of nitric acid, burnt alum, astringent herbs, and sometimes even chloride of lime. The strong ones leave your mouth numb. The really strong ones leave your teeth squeaking like porcelain. Yours leaves your tongue sore for hours, but it works. The stains on your molars have faded. Your breath smells faintly of mint and vinegar. Your smile remains sharp, convincing. People still say you look younger than your age, that your teeth are perfect. You thank them through clenched gums. You begin using it twice a day, then after meals, then before bed. Each rinse feels like sandpaper on your enamel. Your teeth ache in cold air. You avoid sweets, then hot drinks, then anything but warm water. Still, you keep rinsing. The pink in the sink deepens, but your smile remains dazzling. One afternoon, as you laugh at something forgettable, a sharp pain cuts through your jaw. You freeze mid-sentence. A back tooth throbs. You excuse yourself, walk calmly to the powder room, and press a finger to your gum. It pulses beneath the skin. You taste iron. You rinse again. That night, Rosa brings you clove oil on a cloth. She doesn't ask. She knows. You press it against the tooth, wincing. The pain fades slowly, temporarily. You don't cancel your morning plans. At breakfast, you smile carefully. The pain returns by mid-morning. Still, when someone compliments your teeth, how white, how clean, how even, you smile wider. Because in this world, perfection is louder than pain, and your teeth, like everything else, are expected to sparkle, even as they crumble beneath the surface. You keep a glove near your bed now, not for warmth or modesty, but for pressure. When the pain in your jaw climbs to a shriek, you bite down on it gently, the leather muffling your breath. It helps. Not much, but enough to fall back asleep in short stretches, mouth throbbing in time with your heartbeat. In the daylight, you pretend. The toothache dulls sometimes, lurking rather than stabbing. On better days, it allows you to eat soft bread or sip warm broth without flinching. On worse days, even air feels like glass. You speak less now, smile less. But when you must, you bear it with grace, lips parting to reveal the same bright line of teeth that no one suspects are turning to chalk. You try other rinses, milder, herbal, but they do nothing. Only the original elixir gives you that crisp, cleaned feeling. Even as it strips the enamel thin, even as it burns your cheeks raw, you crave that bite of acid. It makes your mouth feel scoured, empty, new. Your tongue has grown sensitive. You run it over your front teeth and feel tiny ridges forming, edges that weren't there before, as if the shape of your smile is slowly eroding, becoming less human. Still, the mirror says you are beautiful, and mirrors, like people, only read surfaces. There are stories, of course. You've heard of women who used the same rinses and lost half their teeth by 30. One was forced to wear wax dentures that melted near candlelight. Another, they say, had her teeth removed all at once and replaced with porcelain, smiled with something perfect but dead. You believe those stories now. Your own teeth feel increasingly hollow. Once, while biting into a soft fig, you felt a crack. Not pain, just a dull pop, like a seam giving way. You froze. Gently you pressed your tongue to the back molar. It moved. You didn't tell anyone. You haven't used that side of your mouth since. Rosa notices your silence at dinner. She slices your fruit for you now, serves broth with a spoon, prepares tea that's never too hot or too cold. She brushes your hair slowly, watching your reflection for signs. Once, she opened her mouth to speak, then closed it again. She's afraid to ask what you already know. One night, you find a tiny shard on your pillow, off-white, curved, unmistakable. A piece of you, lying silent in the dark. You hide it in your drawer, wrap it in lace, say nothing, and the next morning you rinse. Because now, the only thing more frightening than the pain is the thought of a yellow smile, of darkness at the gum line, of someone looking at you and knowing. So you rinse again, twice. You smile through your bleeding gums. You laugh with lips stretched carefully over aching roots. And when the pain blooms too hot to bear, you whisper to the glove clenched between your teeth, "I can't stop now." Not when they still believe your smile means joy. The mirror catches you off guard this morning. Your skin, once ghostly pale and smooth as porcelain, looks uneven, tired. There's a roughness along your jaw, a faint shadow across your cheeks. You lean in closer, running a fingertip along your temple. It comes away dry. Flaky. You've been diligent. The powder, the elixirs, the creams. You haven't let a single ritual lapse, but something isn't holding. You reach for your newest tonic, an astringent labelled Clarifiant pour la peau with a sharp citrus scent and a promise of purity. It was recommended by a visiting lady from Paris who said it clears every imperfection. You lift the glass bottle, uncork it, and pour a small amount onto a linen pad. The sting is immediate. You hiss softly, but you don't pull away. You swipe it across your forehead, down your nose, across the chin. Smells of lemon peel and ammonia. It burns like vinegar poured onto an open cut. Your eyes water, but your skin begins to shine. Tight, raw, fresh. The instructions say it contains mild chlorine, blended with herbal extracts. You didn't ask what kind of herbs. You're not sure you care anymore, because it works. The redness fades after 10 minutes. The lines around your mouth blur. The dullness disappears. By evening, your face feels firm again, your features sharper. You feel cleansed, renewed, so you use it again the next morning. This time, the sting is sharper. The skin beneath your cheekbones turns red, almost blistering, and the burning takes longer to fade. Rosa watches from the doorway, lips tight, hands clasped in front of her apron. You pretend not to notice. You've read that ammonia opens the pores, that chlorine clears bacteria. The formulas are used to scrub floors, sterilize linens, and now, apparently, to refine women. It sounds ridiculous when said aloud. But your reflection doesn't lie. You begin applying the toner twice daily, then 3. You chase every rough patch with a soaked pad, pressing until the skin reddens and flakes. The pain becomes part of the routine, a cue, a price. Your face takes on a permanent pink hue. When people compliment you, they call it rosy. Awake. They ask what you're using. You lie. You say rose water, cucumber peel. You say anything but the truth, because the truth would make them flinch. Even as your skin begins to peel in places, even as you dab powder over scabs and split corner of your mouth, you continue. The sting makes you feel disciplined, focused, clean. You notice the cracks when you smile, just fine ones, along the side of your nose, the corner of your lips, like the glaze on old porcelain. They vanish with powder, but you feel them, tight, sharp. dry. Still, you press the soaked cloth to your cheeks again. Your eyes well with tears, but you don't stop. Because for one perfect hour afterward, your face looks 20 again. And pain, by now, is something you barely feel at all. You no longer need a clock to mark time. Your face does it for you. In the mornings it swells, slightly but enough that your eyes look puffy, your cheeks tense. By noon the swelling fades, replaced by a tightness so severe it feels like someone is pulling thread beneath your skin. In the evenings you feel heat rising from your face like a fevered stove, and yet you still reach for the bottle. The once clear tonic is now halfway gone. The cork is crusted with dried liquid. The label has yellowed. The scent that once made you wince is now oddly comforting. You even crave it, like a ritualistic burn, a sign that the mask you wear is working. Rosa's gaze has grown quiet. She no longer speaks when she brings the cloths or lays out your powder. But once, as she handed you a fresh towel, her sleeve brushed your cheek, and you flinched so hard it startled you both. Her eyes filled with something, sadness maybe, but she said nothing, just folded the towel in silence. And still, you pressed forward. You begin to notice something new now. When you smile, your skin doesn't bounce back like it used to. There's a stiffness to it, a dry sound, almost like paper moving. At the corners of your mouth, the skin has darkened, not just from dryness, something deeper, more permanent, like bruising or decay. One night, you wake with your face pressed against the pillow, and when you sit up, a small patch of skin peels away with the cloth. You sit there for a long time, fingers trembling, cloth in hand. The spot is red and raw and weeping slightly. You touch it and wince. Your first instinct is to reach for the tonic. You nearly do. But your hand pauses above the bottle, and for the first time in weeks you hesitate. Because you remember something. Something faint said once in passing by that same Parisian lady. Beauty is pain, but too much pain becomes something else. It becomes hunger. It eats you. You stare at your reflection. Your face is still beautiful, but there's a hollowness now. Not from age, but from erosion. Your features haven't aged. They've been stripped, carved, filed down to their barest essentials. You don't look older, you look thinner. Not in flesh, but in essence. You cap the bottle, not because you're ready to stop, but because you finally understand this potion doesn't preserve beauty. It consumes it, and you're almost out of yourself to give. You arrive at the perfumer's shop wrapped in lace and powder. It's late afternoon, and the sunlight filters through thick tinted windows, catching dust motes in golden halos. The air smells dense, roses, smoke, crushed herbs, and something vaguely medicinal. You inhale, slow and cautious. Even your lungs feel fragile these days. He greets you with a bow, this man who calls himself an aromatic engineer. You've met him before, at a soiree filled with painted cheeks and whispered scandals. He offered to craft you something uniquely yours, and today you've taken him up on it. You're here for a perfume, but not just any perfume. You want something rare, something powerful, something that doesn't just smell beautiful, but proves it. You want the kind of scent that clings to silk long after you've left the room, that follows you like a shadow, that makes people remember you in the space you no longer occupy. He nods, smiling knowingly. He lifts a tray lined with tiny glass bottles, amber, blue, milky white. You lift one to your nose, musk, resin. Then another, violets crushed in something sharp. Then the last one, almond and cherries with strange sweetness beneath it. That one, he sees softly, is the secret. You pause. There's a bite beneath the sweetness, a bitterness that almost tickles the back of your throat. What is it, you ask? He leans in. Prussic essence, he whispers. Your eyes widen before you can help it. You've heard that name before. Another name for hydrogen cyanide, derived in trace amounts from crushed bitter almonds and apricot kernels. The very edge of poison, but refined, softened, barely detectable. It's safe, he says with a smile, just a drop. And that's all you need, isn't it? Just a drop. Just enough to make your presence linger. You buy it. He seals the bottle with waxen ribbon, and you cradle it in your gloved hand all the way home. That night you try it. One dab behind each ear, one on the wrist, one across your collarbone. It blooms. At first, it's intoxicating, sweet, dark, seductive. Like a memory you can't quite place. The kind of scent that would make someone turn their head as you pass. That would make them think of you in quiet hours. That might, if you're lucky, make them ache for you. But after a while, you notice something else. Your lips taste bitter. Not from the perfume itself. You haven't touched it. It's just in the air. The scent clings not just to your skin, but to your mouth, your breath. Your tongue feels dry. Still, you wear it again the next day. And the day after that. You begin to dream of strange things. Flowers with sharp teeth. Rooms without doors. You wake with your head heavy and your fingertips numb. The perfume bottle remains half full, but it might as well be bottomless. Its power isn't in quantity, it's in persistence. You pass people in the corridor and watch them pause. Heads turn, eyes follow. One woman leans close and asks, "Is that almonds?" with a faint look of confusion. You only smile. Because yes, almonds. Sweetness with a secret. And you, the bearer of that secret, move through the world like a living whisper of danger. You start rationing your breaths. Not consciously at first, but your chest feels tighter than it used to, like each inhale is slightly heavier than the last. You find yourself cracking windows, stepping onto balconies, standing near open doors longer than necessary. The air outside feels gentler, cleaner. But you don't stop using the perfume. It's your signature now. The scent is woven into your dresses, your gloves, the satin lining of your fan. Rosa once leaned in to pin your hair and paused, brow furrowing. "You smell sharp," she said. You smiled. Sharp is memorable. The bottle sits like a jewel on your vanity. Wax seal broken, ribbon faded. You open it each morning with reverence. Just a dab, always a dab. And yet, your appetite has waned. You sleep more, but rest less. Sometimes you wake with a headache curled behind your eyes like a cat refusing to move. You begin forgetting small things, where you placed your hairpins, whether you ate breakfast, why you entered a room. Rosa notices but says nothing. She only brings broth instead of meat, water instead of wine. One evening, while writing a letter, your hand begins to tremble. It's not nerves, it's not cold, it's something deeper. A hum inside your bones, a shiver that won't resolve. You grip the pen tighter, finish the sentence, but the ink trails off. The next morning, your wrists ache when you fasten your brooch. Still, you wear the perfume. Because when you step into a room now, people turn, heads tilt, eyes narrow, not in judgment, but in interest. "Who is she?" they seem to ask. "What is that smell?" Someone murmurs that it's like almond blossoms in autumn. Another whispers it smells of weddings and funerals. That's the power of it. You pass by a gentleman who says, "You smell like a secret I once knew." And in that moment, you believe the perfume is worth it. Worth the dizziness, the headaches, the nausea that lingers in the early hours. Worth the growing pile of untouched meals and the shaking hands, and the fact that some mornings your pulse feels slow, faint, like a drum too tired to beat. You wear it anyway, because it makes you unforgettable. And when your reflection grows paler, your voice softer, your step lighter, you convince yourself it's refinement, elegance, evolution, not decay. You hold a bottle to your nose before bed and smile faintly. It no longer smells bitter. It smells like you. Or rather, you smell like it. And that's how beauty wins. Not with scream, but with a scent. One sweet enough to erase doubt, to make people forget what came before. Even if someday soon you forget too. The gloves are the last to go. You used to wear them daily. Soft kid leather, pearl buttons stitched delicately along the wrist. Not just for fashion, but for the illusion. Because under those gloves, your hands told a different story. But now, the skin has begun to crack. Not in fine, elegant lines, but in angry fissures, especially around the knuckles. Your fingertips sting when dipped in water. The scent of rose soap, once calming, now makes your hands twitch. You blame it on the lotion. It was gifted by a duchess with perfect hands, porcelain smooth and scented like lilies. She swore by it. A miracle cream, she called it. A French import. Pale, opalescent, and thick as wax. You used it every evening, just like she did. You even slept with gloves over the top, as instructed. But the miracle feels more like a curse. You begin to notice discoloration under the skin, small patches of grey-blue, then dull yellow. At first, you think it's the cold, then poor circulation, but when the skin begins to flake, papery, curling like old paint, you suspect something worse. One evening, in a fit of frustration, you rub the cream away too harshly, and that's when you see it. A thin layer of skin comes with it. You freeze, staring at your hands. The rawness underneath gleams faintly. Not bloodied, not open, but stripped. You feel no pain, just a strange numbness, like touching something through velvet. You say nothing to Rosa. Not anymore. She's seen enough. The worried glances, the long pauses before she speaks, they've become routine. She brings poultices now, ointments made from herbs, but you only apply them when you think she's watching, because you still believe in the promise, the legend. That beauty, true beauty, demands more than effort. It demands transformation, like silk from worm, like wine from rot. You start hiding your hands beneath scarves. You practice holding teacups by the rim so no one sees the back of your fingers. You avoid handshakes. You laugh with your palms tucked beneath shawls, because even now, you're still being watched, still being measured, admired, envied, and so you endure. You remember what the cream promised: softness, youth, eternal bloom. You reread the directions, searching for reassurance, but instead you find a word you hadn't noticed before: sublimate. A word that suggests not preservation but exchange. You offer your skin, and in return you get the appearance of radiance, a trick of the light, a mirage. You begin to understand something. The more beauty clings to you, the less of you remains beneath it. Your hands are not the only victims now. There's a trembling in your jaw when you speak too long, a strange tautness along your cheeks, even when resting. And your eyes, once bright, now dulled like old glass, sting under lamplight. You whisper excuses, dry air, lack of sleep, age, but none of them feel quite right. One night, you knock over your perfume vial. It shatters, not loudly, just a soft crack like eggshells breaking. The scent floods the room instantly, stronger than ever. Sweetness, decay, a rush of almond and something far too clean. You step back. Then you see Rosa at the door, her face pale, her arms full of towels. She stares at the spilled perfume as if it's poison, and maybe it is. You don't speak. She kneels and begins to clean, moving slowly, cautiously, as if the very air might bite her. You sit, For once you don't reach for the bottle, or the cream, or the powder. You just sit there in silence, listening to the delicate scrubbing of cloth against floorboards, and you wonder if the women before you ever realised what they were doing. The Venetian noblewoman who lined her eyes with lead, the 18th century heiress who powdered her hair with arsenic-dusted flour, the Egyptian queens who wore copper salts on their brows. Did they know? Did they care? Or were they like you, drifting forward in pursuit of something they'd already lost? You look at yourself in the mirror. You're still beautiful, stunning even. The kind of beauty that demands silence when you enter a room. But now you can see it for what it is. A costume stitched from hazard, a mask carved from attrition, and suddenly tired. So tired. Not from the weight of age, but from the weight of maintenance, from the layers and tinctures and rituals, from the constant reapplication of identity. That night, you don't put anything on. No creams, no powders, no perfume. You climb into bed barefaced, barehanded. You lie beneath the sheets and feel the linen touch your raw skin. It hurts, a little, but it's real. And as the moonlight drapes across the floor and Rosa snuffs out the final candle, you wonder, softly, silently, if perhaps beauty was never meant to be preserved like a painting. Maybe it was meant to live, to change, to fade, like petals falling, like breath. You're still here. The mirrors are dark now, and the bottles are closed. The gloves lie folded in the drawer. The scent that once hovered in the air has thinned into memory. It no longer clings to your collar or whispers from your pillow. And that's all right, because tonight you've let go. You've stepped back from the powder, the gloss, the sting, from the sharp-edged promises tucked into every little jar. You've peeled away the layers, not just from your skin, but from the stories you've been told, stories that said you must glow to be loved, that said the price of beauty was quiet suffering. But here, in this stillness, you've chosen softness over shine, quiet over spectacle, rest over ritual, and your reflection, tired maybe but honest, feels closer than ever. Let your shoulders loosen. Let the corners of your lips fall into peace. You're safe now. No one's watching. There's no room to enter, no figure to impress. Just the hush of your own breath, the steady beat of your tired heart, and the cooling night folding over you like silk. The danger has passed. You've stepped through the storm of arsenic powders and mercury balms. You've walked among painted ghosts who whispered through lace and poison. And now you rest. Because beauty isn't a war. It never was. It's the soft light in your eyes when you smile without reason. It's the warmth of your skin beneath a clean sheet. It's the way you exhale without effort, finally, freely. So close your eyes. Forget the mirror. Let the past dissolve like old perfume in morning air.